I'm going to call to order the Board of Education, Orland School District 135 Special Board Meeting, Tuesday, September 24th, 2019 at 7 p.m. And I will have Jill call the roll.
Sure, Dr. Berry.
Here.
Mr. Hodge.
Here.
Ms. Kulak.
Here.
Mr. Merrington.
Here.
Ms. Meckendod.
Here.
Ms. Schreiber. Here. Mr. Shalaby.
Here.
And let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Right. And we don't have no citizen remarks. Do we have any board member reports or requests before we start? Nope. All right, let's get into it. I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Rick there to review the survey results and talk a little bit about the public input we had during our forums.
Well, thank you and good evening. First of all and foremost, I had a really great day last Tuesday with all the sessions that we did, and so did my colleagues, both Bob and so we did 7 sessions throughout the day with various groups that you designated, and they were all engaging, good conversations. I thought the questions and what was shared was extremely knowledgeable and very much, I would say, goes along with what I hear from other school districts around the general things that the community and different stakeholders are looking for in terms of their superintendent. So we have several topics to discuss this evening. What I'd like to do first is, if you wouldn't mind, Sandra, we'll start passing those out with the pink one first, and then the yellow one on down. Thank you very much. There was a lot of material here. We're not going to go line by line through it. We'd be here till midnight. But the idea is to take you through the process to get you to certain deliverables that come out of the meeting tonight.
We can go up and get them.
Yeah, we can.
Yeah, we can just go up and
Capable
get
of standing
them. Yeah,
up.
we'll get them. We'll get them.
All of them,
Sorry,
okay.
I thought it was just a
Speak for yourself, man. Please want to say?
Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's, there, just start.
Easier to
Oh, 10,000.
Thank you. Thank you.
backing up here.
There's two more of these. Oh, you have that one, right?
Thank
You're
you.
going too fast, Sandy. No, they're different things.
They're different.
Oh, they're different. I'm not going to be able to read those. Oh, they've been translated?
But there was really good, there was a couple of parents who wanted.
The one with the,
Yeah, this is in Polish. But
Yes.
do I have the English one, Linda? Yes.
those haven't been
Kietja, Beji.
You mean our acting superintendent doesn't read other languages?
Duguzini.
Language under my belt, but faded a little bit. So I'm assuming everyone has a copy of each. Thank you for passing those around. I'm going to go through kind of just to organize it. This will be the first document that we talk about. This will be the
Pink.
second.
Pink, yellow.
The third document is the Superintendent Search Constituent Staff Board Survey Results. That'll be the third document. The next one will be the recommended 10 qualities that we derived out of it.
You guys want to grab a copy in the audience, you're welcome to.
And then we have a pretty extensive packet in, as your chair mentioned, pardon me?
In any of these, let's not take the comments in case we need to redact anything, but the other stuff you can have.
Pink you could take, yellow.
Those are just pure you're talking about in the additional comments?
I did read through them, yeah.
Yeah, we generally don't hand those out, but
Well,
that's up
somebody's
to
name
you.
was in one of them. There were a couple with people's names, so we should, yeah, do those.
Which color is that one? What color is that?
Additional
Purple.
comments.
No, she's okay.
Mr.
It's
Castrigan,
it's
you
the
might have a
big,
white one. Do you have a white one?
thick white one? This is the agenda. Okay,
Okay,
we got it.
Okay.
So the additional comments would be the next one, then we'll go through the flyer.
Wait a second.
And then the application, we printed off what the applicants will have to fill out online through Ray and Associates website. And then the last one
Flyer
is,
in your stuff that was on the table.
the last one is the most current updated schedule
Flyer. Okay, hold on here.
and timelines. So I'm saying that so you can just
Flyer.
move this right along.
All right.
I missed out. Sorry about that one.
Okay, to the first one is the 33 characteristics report explanation. If you need to just scan that and look at it real quick, basically is an explanation around those 33 characteristics that were used in the survey results and outcome.
The second is the survey itself.
I'm just going to offer a couple of background facts. We had 500 surveys that were completed online or handed in, and we had 490 done in English, 1 in Spanish, 5 in Arabic, and 4 in Polish, which is why we did the translation on the outcomes. Just as a comparison, recently, we've had school districts have 385. They're similar in size and population, up to 848, but that one was pretty much a week or two longer open and available. So you're really solid on the participation level of that. There were 7 stakeholders, community sessions. There were common themes that came out of these. I'm not going to go through them all, but I will highlight the themes that came out of those 7 groups. And first, in the area of strengths, one of the things that we heard the most, and I sat in 3 or 4 of the sessions, was a superintendent that understands the strong parental involvement as a strength here in the community and in the school district. In the area of positives in the community, we heard overwhelmingly that the perception is that it's a very active and educated parent community here in Orland Park. Under management style, this was emphasized very often, student-first philosophy of leadership, good communication skills, ability to connect and build relationships with school staff and faculty, and collaboration was very important. It was also mentioned about collaboration with the high school. One of the things that was interesting is that we had kind of a 50-50 split on feedback around a hybrid candidate versus a traditional candidate. So that was pretty much, I heard that, both the hybrid and a traditional one, about 50-50 split. Critical issues, finance, budget was number 1. Leveraging technology in the classroom for exponential gains was one that was mentioned prevalently. Hiring a superintendent with high integrity and transparency and building trust. That was very important that we heard across the board in the groups.
I'm sorry, I have a question for you. Which one of these has the ranking that you're talking about right now?
We're not there yet, ma'am. I'm just giving general
Just giving
comments.
general, okay.
This is from the forums.
This is from all the forums that we did last week.
Impressions, okay.
In other information, a superintendent that has passion for education and children first. And in the interview questions, this came out a lot. Why do you want to leave your last district or last job? What is your long-term commitment? I heard that a lot. Long-term commitment to being here, and how important it is to have, a long-term superintendent in there. That was mentioned repeatedly. And again, how would you ask I was asked this specifically, how would you ask interview questions to really get to, are they sincere about what they say, that they're here for the long term? And this was mentioned, a couple of folks mentioned this about seeing some level of portfolio of their work. So that came up a couple of times. I know that when I applied for my superintendency in Florida, I had to provide an advance portfolio. So that's just something to consider, but it was brought up. And so those were just some general 8 to 10 themes across the board, and those questions that we asked, we facilitated those sessions with standard questions. There's 9 questions that we asked the members attending to participate in, and we got good feedback. The sessions that I sat in on was here for the administrators and at the Civic Center, and then that evening at the middle school. We had about 10 to 12 attendees at each. The administrators was about double of that. So pretty much what we see in most school districts in attendance in these forums that we do. So any questions on that? Just general observations and sharing some general information on that?
Can you go over hybrid traditional for me?
Yeah, traditional candidate, teacher, assistant principal, principal, staff, executive director, works all the way up to superintendent. I heard that half that group wanted somebody with teaching experience in the classroom, which would be a typical traditional candidate. I would say I'm more of a hybrid candidate, 25 years in the Army. I spent 10 years in Chicago Public Schools learning education from that seat firsthand. I was an area superintendent. I was the CEO of Minneapolis Public Schools, and then I was the superintendent of a county system in Florida. So I'm kind of a mix of skills. And what I heard from that group was the expectation that a superintendent would have a balance of skills, particularly in operations, strategic planning, and those areas. That came out from that group. Any other questions and general comments that I'm sharing?
Do you find better success, is this working? Do you find better success of one versus the other in your experience,
In my experience?
placements?
Well, since I'm a hybrid candidate, I'd be a bit partial, but it really comes down to leadership management and the ability and experience. There's something to be said about being a classroom teacher. I never taught K through 12, but I did teach at West Point for 3 years, so I did have classroom experience per se at the
Same thing.
collegiate level. Pardon me?
Same thing. Army, classroom. I'm a classroom teacher.
So,
Army, I mean, I would like to be in the Army for a while.
So I had a balance of skills, from my skills I acquired in the military, and then the skills I acquired in my career coming up through the ranks and education. So that's more of a hybrid candidate per se. So to answer your question is, I've never seen any studies around it, but it comes down to the board's preference in your selection. What do you value more?
So more
If
like
that is a factor.
A homegrown candidate, typically a lot of the traditionals that have come off have been homegrown. In other words, they come through, they were there, and they went through those ranks in the same district. It's not that they came from somewhere else. And certain districts around us have those kind of people in place now. So that's more the traditional. But hybrid would, even from the business world,
Yeah.
somebody that had business experience.
I
and
always
then-
think business folks.
Yes,
are hybrid,
business background, there are states out there that allow you to get a superintendent license with a balanced hybrid background like that. You go and present a portfolio in front of a panel, and then you submit a lot of work in advance, and then you're awarded your superintendent license, and that's designed for hybrid candidates. Any other questions on the general comments?
Well, I mean, not to get ahead of it, but we're having this conversation about hybrid, and I kind of skipped ahead to look at your combined ranking, and combined ranking was low on that.
Yes.
So, okay. You heard that when you were having these conversations. But in terms of all of the data.
I'm sharing what I heard
Yeah.
firsthand.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily factored in specifically like that into the questions, but some of the qualities are.
Okay.
Okay, so any questions on this document, an explanation? We'll move on to the next one. That is the actual survey. I'm sure you've seen it already, but I want to make sure you have a copy. What we did, and later on, the comments came off of this page, this final page at the end. It was online or in paper copy. So we captured those verbatim, and they're in that document. And so you can read through that at your leisure, see what some of the feedback was on the survey. Any questions on the actual survey itself? Okay, moving on, we're going to get into this document, which is the Superintendent Search Constituent Staff Board and Survey Results. I'll walk you through that real quick. You see on the first page, it's the raw score sheet, and you see on the left there, questions 1 through 33, and the right column, you see what the specific question is that correlates to that number. Across the top, you'll see 7 categories of those in the forums that attended by designation. And then you'll see a column of raw scores, which is the total number of responses in that group. And then you'll see the 7 groups take that raw score and translates it into a ranking. So there at the very top, you see the raw score was 43. So that question in teachers ranked number 8 as a priority of 10. And go all the way across. The final column there is the Board of Education. Those results, obviously, it's their responsibility to hire a superintendent, so there's a weighted factor there that you would consider as you go through the process in that. And I'll talk more about that on the next page. So we take that data and we put it into a ranking and recommendation sheet. So again, the questions 1 through 33 on the left, the actual question on the right, the categories on the top, again, the 7 forums. We took that question ranking across the board, then we added it up and calculated as a combined ranking where that question stood. So on the first question, you look across, the teachers were 8, 4, 4, 11, students ranked at number 1, 10, 7, and so you see there the board ranked at number 7. So that had a total raw score of 45, and it came out ranked the 5th question in the top 10 of responded to the survey. So you can go all the way down through that and follow through. So then we have a recommendation from our firm of the top 10, and then any other considerations around that. So you see there are 9 listed for recommendations to be in the top 10, and we took number 1 and number 13, and we recommend it be combined into 1. So that actually would be 10. Then we have 2 for you to consider, and let me state that it's fine if we go from 10 to 12 on the flyer. That's your decision. We do the 10 just to narrow it down for you, but you can add 2 more. So you may want to consider those that you see in that column. And the reason being is when you rank order these, some of them are ties. So if you had 3-way tie for number 5, that means the next one is 9. So therefore, the number is going to exceed 10 in the recommendation. So 33, we recommended for consideration. And number 8. I'll have a few minutes here for you to take a look at that and digest it, and then I'll answer any questions on that.
How does a lower ranked combined ranking get a recommend and then a higher?
I asked the same question because the first time I saw something like that, the explanation is given to me is that because those questions were ties before it, it pushes it up. The other one's up over. That was the explanation I received, so I asked that very same question.
Yeah, I had that question too for number 2, why that one is recommend and the other ones are considers.
Yeah. I mean, there's at least 3 or 4 here that are
Yep.
lower ranking, higher recommend.
Now, in the ones we mentioned considered, this might qualify more of the response to your question, sir. We weigh the board responses. So if you look at the board response versus, there might be some outliers from other categories where you ranked it as a board number 5 or 4 or whatever, and some of the other stakeholders ranked it as 25. And you can see there are some outliers there in those.
Here's where your non-traditional or hybrid combined ranking of 32, so it was second to last, if you look across everything.
But if you look at number 25, ranked relatively high with us, and it's not a recommended or consider,
Right.
able to lead a large organization dedicated to the goals of continuous improvement,
Yeah,
which
just-
seems important.
We ranked it fourth.
Right.
Yeah.
And we had a couple of other fourths,
Yeah,
which
you're
all,
right.
Promotes a positive and professional environment for district employees and board. That's number 30. And that was our 4.
Which one are you looking at, Dave?
Number 30.
right.
I mean, that,
Oh, yeah.
There's several that tie for
There are
4 with us.
several that tied for 4.
Yeah, and there's a lot of sevens, too, because there's only 7 of us, so.
So as a consultant, we kind of summarize that down to what's in this sheet right here, the top 10 qualities and that we recommend based upon the survey results and outcome, and 2 additional ones for you to consider. Now, you can take those for consider and look at them as a school board and say, well, we weighed those 2 higher than the ones in the top 10 there, so we want to replace that or move that in there, or we want to add it to make 12.
I find it odd that the
So what are
the students want somebody who's good
The
with unions.
totals for each group? I know you mentioned it.
Shows
Oh, it's on the front page, 102.
number 1.
I mean,
Yeah, the total number of surveys submitted was 500.
but I mean, if you look at teachers, 102, that number next to it, 102, parents, 314. I mean, there was only 5 students, so weighting them the same as,
That's why I said,
yeah.
there's no doubt in my mind that as a school board, you need to weight your outcomes of the survey.
I mean, I would almost, where is it? Has experience dealing with employee representative groups / unions was a rank of 12, and a rank of 13 for us, and the
1 for the students.
who was?
1 for the students.
Of the 5
Students
students.
know about,
There's 5 students.
5 students.
And then the ability to lead a large organization dedicated to goals of continuous improvement was a 4 for us. So replace that one with that one.
So if I may, you're spot on in what your discussion is. You got the responsibility to do the hiring. How do you weight your outcome of your board? I understand the community engagement forum and community involvement, and I applaud you for the great job you've done so far to have that community involved and engaged in the process. But in the end, you know, it's a decision you guys have to make.
I kind of think that's important.
That's important, number 25.
Yeah, I agree.
25?
Yes.
Because of the size of what we are. Just, we're big.
I mean, you could combine even as a strong communicator or the experience dealing with employee representatives, combined it with something else if you wanted to continue with that, but
Right.
is that implied when you say the able to lead the large organization? It's kind of implied.
Linda, you're not suggesting number 10 be removed, right? You're saying combined?
Where you combine it. And I just, I question why one's included and the other one isn't. I understand, so.
As a former union leader, I didn't rank it at all very high.
I don't know
I,
why.
I,
that's
I don't
important.
know why that is so important, that you have that experience. You have professionals, hopefully you have legal counsel that has that experience.
Well, any current superintendent, even assistant, is going to have that experience. I mean, that's almost a given with people who are going to be applying for this job.
It all depends
Don't
what
you think?
it all
What
depends
they
what their
mean?
role is. Other school boards, the role
I
of the
mean, principals
superintendent
know.
is totally
Right,
different.
They
and
do, because they deal with their
managers and
employees every day.
negotiations, et cetera.
Right.
I don't know.
Well, let's share this with you, personal experience. When I was the CEO of Minneapolis Public Schools, we had 13 unions. And then when I went down to Florida, we had 2. So they kind of vary district to district. And I heard that it's implied that if you get to this level, you would have some level of experience around working and negotiating union contracts.
I think if you start with the ones that rank the highest, between the highest populations, questions 5 and 6 they seem to be must-haves.
Okay, can we go on our top, well, it's going to be 12 because there's all these ties. Our top 12 compared to the consensus of the top 12 and the ones that match as top 10s, we include those and then the other ones we weed out?
So if I could, if I may, I would focus on this and then look at where you ranked and write down anything like number 25 you brought up. Put that down towards the bottom and then start kind of like, okay, we want to change this one with that. But you got to decide if you want to keep it to 10 or you're willing to go to 12 in that process. But if you write down the ones down here in the bottom that you think should be addressed in the top 10 qualities or 12, then you can use this as a frame of reference to go back and forth and say, okay, we're going to pull this one out, number 3 at the top, and replace it with this one. Does that help?
Well, I was thinking of looking at the data without forget the recommendations and the considers. And if you look at questions 5 and 6, start with the ones that there's consensus in all the groups. I mean, we have to
Those are high-ranking,
look
right?
you have to look at the parents. That's 314 respondents. That's the biggest population in here without that, so that'll homogenize that data. That 5 and 6 are our
High.
top 1 and 2 questions.
Yep.
Those are
Look
the
where
two.
we match up with,
Yeah, those are the
with
ones
the
that are,
community.
there's consensus
Yeah, there's
across all of the
consensus,
groups on that.
absolutely.
For sure.
They're all in
They're
the top
included,
10.
yes, 5
For sure.
and 6, yep.
All right, so
what's
they
the-
are numbers
5 and 6.
5 and 6.
5 and 6.
And they're on here.
And they're on here. Where else?
So
If you
far,
look
I
at
have
15.
5, 6, and 25 that you guys have identified.
15 has all
15.
top 10 consensus.
Yeah,
It's on our
15.
sheet.
Yeah, it's on here, yep.
Number 30.
30.
30.
Yeah.
Yep,
That's on here.
it's on here.
Two.
15, maybe?
What do you guys think about 2? Yes? No?
So I've jotted down 5, 6, 25, 15, and 30.
15's not on our sheet. Oh, it is, I'm sorry. It is
Yeah,
on our
it is.
sheet. Yeah, okay.
I'm sorry, repeat what you,
Well, I
you
just
just
am
said?
jotting down the ones I hear you saying you want.
5, 6, 15.
So I've got 5, 6, 25, 15, and 30 that I've heard so far. And I believe all but one of them is
Yeah,
on
25
the
is
recommended
one that's
list.
not on here, so.
And I think your number 25 is a solid one, in my own personal opinion.
So do we talk about 12? Because 12 is
12.
a pretty big consensus. It's got the board,
Yes.
it's
Well, it's
got,
on
Yes,
It's on here,
Got
yes.
that.
12.
12 is
So
on here.
that's-
This is a frame of reference on the orange sheet, the question numbers on the end there.
Yeah, I know.
Number 13 we have.
I would say 20 is on our list, is on the sheet, and it should be considered.
I know we just made a side comment. Isn't that kind of a given? I mean,
It
That's
is,
that's what
but-
my thought process was. I mean, it's a
That
student.
could be the
safe behavior.
11th.
We have
We did 10.
But is that implied in
Who's going to
student first
interview and not say that they're
philosophy?
not
Yeah.
for
Is
positive
it-
student behavior?
Exactly. Is it implied in student first
Yes.
philosophy? So,
It is,
It is.
yeah.
for sure.
So is 20 a given, or do you want to add that on the list there? Not sure what you decided.
Agree. We shouldn't include it.
Should not?
No, it's
Okay.
implied.
It's implied.
It's implied in the
there's
nature
stuff
of the
there-
job.
Some of these things are implied. It's just, there's no measurable, saying, where are they on this? They're here.
We could
okay?
also throw
They're here.
in, promotes a positive, safe, and professional environment for for students, district employees, and the board, in number 30,
Sure.
right?
Yes.
Yeah, we already
yes,
have that one.
Perfect. Add students.
We already have that
Yeah,
one,
but
yeah.
that would-
Add students
They're
to it.
going to handle, then,
Pardon me?
Well, you want a safe
30 we would add-
environment
we
for
would
your
add students.
staff, too.
You added students?
Committed
Right.
to
Staff, district employees, and board.
promotes a positive and professional environment for district employees, students.
Okay.
And you
That's
could
easy to
you could
do.
throw safe in there. We want a safe environment
Yeah,
for
of
our
course.
employees as well.
Positive,
Right.
safe,
Perfect. I like that.
professional. District
And
employees,
move out 20,
students.
add 25.
Yeah.
we did it.
So we're saying 15 and 20 come off due to,
No, 15's on.
So far, I've heard you guys pretty much
20's off.
unanimously
We're gonna take it
agree
again.
to 5, 6, 25, 15, 30, 12, and then you just went back and forth and took 20 out of the mix.
Yep.
And added 25.
And that is-
And we had 12 too, didn't we? Yes?
Yeah, I have 12 down.
Right.
We combined.
And then on 30, you want to add the word students.
And safe.
Safe.
Promotes
And what?
a safe and positive,
Promotes a
Profession-
positive, safe, and professional environment
Positive,
for
safe.
students, district employees, and board.
yeah,
Oh, I see, you want to combine those.
right,
So you want to combine 30 with
20.
Basically.
20. Got it.
Will you go down your list one more time? Sorry.
Okay, so thus far, I've heard from the board that you are confirming 5, 6, 25, 15, 12, and combining 30 and 20, and adding students.
Yes,
And safe.
safe.
I'll give them the language.
So we're not doing the 13-1 combo?
No, we haven't talked about that. I think we need to have that one on there.
Yeah, for sure.
So we have 6.
What about number 2?
I mean, personally, I think the rest of them are good. It was just in my mind, the addition of 25. And if we wanted to bring it down to 10, which is a reasonable amount to put on a brochure, the rest will come up in interview.
Right.
I don't know.
Are we adding the 113?
Yes, that'll
Yeah.
be on there.
Okay.
And the number 2, I guess.
Number 2?
How about number 10?
What was your suggestion? You wanted to merge two, right?
Okay, thank you.
10 with something else?
Oh, did I have that too?
I thought you mentioned that early, as it went. Well, what's interesting on number 10, to your point, Linda, is that it didn't rank high with teachers.
It ranks 6 with
6?
teachers.
Oh, 6,
It's pretty
okay.
high.
Support staff, sorry, yeah.
14, no, 25 with administrators, 6 with support staff, 26 with parents, 1 with students.
What number is that?
I'm not all that thrilled about 10.
I'm not either.
Me either.
No, in fact,
10, I think we should permit.
one of the biggest relationship, and I said that since I've been here, the strongest relationship that has to be forged is between the union president and the superintendent. They have to have an unbelievable, it doesn't have, there can be strife a little, but there has to be, that holds the district together. There's got to be complete communication between the superintendent and the union president, because both kind of operate large groups, and there's so much stuff that can be taken care of at that level, that relationship's got to be solid. I mean, just my own experience, I'm sure that Ms. Kulak, as union president, had that takes care of a lot of stuff.
It was so important for me as a CEO and a superintendent. I met monthly with the leadership of all the unions in my district.
So you think we should keep that?
Well, I don't know about the
wording of it?
I don't know about the wording, that's
I don't like
one
the
thing.
wording, has experience
Dealing with is kind of.
Because when you're talking about it, you're talking about almost like when you deal with something,
It's a negative almost.
yeah, it's almost like a negative count. I mean, dealing with. I mean, there needs to be cooperation. It's more of a softer word. I don't know. It's dealing with just sounds like it's
It's a
more
negative
hard line.
connotation.
Like
It's a negative
dealing
something you
with,
gotta
I'll
do.
deal with
What can
you.
get done?
Yeah.
I'll deal with you, Mr. Shalaby. If I may cooperate with you. Yeah, there needs to be,
So has experience cooperating
there
with
needs to be a
employee,
professional
Oh, I
relationship.
like that, cooperating and.
with employee representative
yeah,
groups?
I like that.
Yeah, I like cooperating.
Or
good
working with
recommendation.
building,
Yeah, the word's not right.
Well, how about collaborating?
oh, nice,
John came up with that one.
collaborating, I like that.
Yeah. Cooperating.
You can never go wrong with that
I think
one.
it sounds a little bit,
I like
Yeah,
it.
you're right.
It's more on
You're
an
right.
equal footing.
I like cooperation is
Cooperation.
more of a
Or
positive
cooperation.
connotation. I really do. It's just, it does have to be.
How about the word "has experience effectively working with unions"?
With employee representative groups.
I like the cooperation.
I don't
do
like
too.
effectively.
Pardon me?
I like the
Cooperation.
I like
cooperation.
cooperating. Because
there.
that's kind of the atmosphere you want to establish in a successful district. It needs to get to that point.
Okay.
And that's something you can also evaluate,
how could there be students number
right?
one?
Well, no,
As
they
a
can
board, the
bring
board?
in, they can bring in examples of how they got that accomplished in their prior jobs.
Yeah, definitely.
I like cooperating.
Can I make a
Yes.
suggestion? One that ranked high with the board and relatively high with parents is number 27. Possesses ability to enhance student performance. Oh, wait, am I?
I don't think it's that one.
Yeah,
Parents
it
were
is.
13, we were 7. Right, number 27?
Number 27. Yeah, we were 7 and the parents were 13. And possesses ability to enhance student performance, identify and close narrow gaps.
Well, one that's,
Close narrow gaps.
I don't know.
Slash narrow gaps.
You're talking achievement gaps
I'm sure, yeah, between subgroups.
between subgroups? So,
I mean, it's important to the biggest population as well as us.
we should say achievement gaps then, otherwise it's kind of.
But is that a student-first philosophy?
It is,
Isn't it?
it is.
And there's not to say we can't bring these up when we're interviewing,
Right.
you know, when we get down to the final, what's important. This is just what you're,
Well, if I may, allow me to remind you that we take this, and then we use that when we screen the candidates and narrow them down. We're going to weigh those very heavily, obviously.
I would also say that number 18 scored relatively high with us as well as parents and support staff and teachers. I'm saying relatively high, and community members.
How about 11, just,
that was a recommended one.
I'm just looking at the ranking of the,
Yeah, I definitely think we
11.
need to look at 11 because that's a very important thing. Delegation as opposed to control,
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
yes,
Um,
yes.
while still maintaining, you know.
We have 11 on our sheet.
Yeah, we've never even talked about.
We didn't talk
that.
about
we haven't even
But we want
talked.
to
So
keep it, so we
That, to
keep
me,
it.
Wanna keep
that's,
it.
Are you in agreement on 11?
Yes.
Yes.
Sure.
We're at 9.
Okay.
Number 2?
We already,
keeping?
we already got 2, yeah. Yeah.
Was 2 one of them?
We got,
Is 2 on your list?
2 is on.
Two's
here,
on
but
the
it's
list.
16.
Let me repeat it. 5, 6, 25, 15, combined 20 and 30, 12, 2, 10, and 11.
so what that looks like on your salmon sheet is cross off has experience dealing with employee representatives and promote positive student behavior, because we included that in the other one. So those are the 2 that are gone off of this.
No, we said we're keeping the employee representatives, we're
We're just
changing it to
changing the
experience
verbiage.
cooperating with.
Cooperating. Do you want that
Is that
gone?
what we said?
I mean, to me, that's going to be a question that I would like to see asked, you know, when the interviewing process. I mean,
Then we
and they
have-
can provide
then we have
experience with
9.
that.
So
We're at 9,
we're
sir.
9. Okay.
I'm good with those.
Pardon me?
I'm good with those.
You're good with those 9? Did you want to go with 9, or you want to add a 10?
Where, is the cooperation one on there?
Yes.
10's on there?
Yeah.
But
So-
reworded?
The 25 makes it 10, doesn't it? If we keep 2.
Okay,
Two.
we're at 9. We have 5, 6, 25, 15.
Wait, can you read those slower, or
Okay.
maybe in numerical order, so we're not?
Yeah, a numerical order would be great.
Okay, 5, 6, I'm sorry, 2, 5, 6, 11, 12, 15, I don't know if 20 and 30 combined, and then 25
And we also had 10.
10.
Yeah.
and 10, right? I said that, yeah.
So that's 10, right?
That's 9.
No,
It's 9.
I have
That's
10.
9. It's
So-
9. It's 9.
Let's,
No, 20 and 30 are 1.
10 as
let's
well.
discuss the consider.
20 and
ones then.
30 were
We're
combined.
combined.
1 and 13 is combined.
Right?
2,
2?
5, 6.
5.
That's
He
10.
didn't say 1 and 13.
He didn't say
Yeah.
113.
You guys didn't pick 1 and 13.
No,
Nope.
never did.
You guys picked 30 and 20 and decided to combine it.
We want 1 and 13.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one
Yeah,
that
that's,
was.
yes,
But combine it.
Okay.
somewhere.
yes,
Yeah.
combined.
So that's
Combine
what you
that would
want.
be
You're on
10.
here, yes.
That would
Absolutely.
be 10 then.
So that's 10.
So that's 10.
That's where I got
We're good.
confused, okay.
Okay, we did.
We didn't come out and say that.
All right, so just to review it quickly, and I'll try to do this properly in rank order, because I have them all over here. Number 2, well, let me start, 113, which would be 1. Number 2, number 5, number 6, number 10, 11, 12, 15, and combined 20 and 30.
And 25.
25.
25.
And 25, okay. Yeah, I thought, did I skip that? Okay.
Yeah. Good, sold.
The whiteboard.
Okay, so now we're all going to play a game of Yahtzee with numbers.
Dan, can you start? No, I'm just kidding.
Does the order,
Somebody,
do you have a recommendation on the order of these?
You'll be able to look at the final flyer and say, oh, we'd like to move this one up there or change that, or you can make that decision tonight if you want to prioritize it.
No, we need to make that decision.
But this is a great balance of reflection upon all the groups,
Yeah,
big stakeholder, because there's a lot of overlap here, which is consistent throughout the district and throughout the groups that were interviewed.
And that's what we look for when we
Great,
do
which
the
is important,
analysis
yeah.
around it, and it actually comes out that way in the numbers, the actual numbers.
I did too.
do you want to take one last look just to triple check everything?
No.
Should we just put them in order, in listed order of their combined rank? That work?
Yeah, I think rank order makes more sense than the number.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just so we know what we know we ranked highest.
So now we got to figure that out.
So 5 would be first.
You got to figure it out, Tara?
Yeah, 20, 30 would be second. 6 would be third.
I'm sorry, what'd you say, ma'am? What's third?
Start from the beginning.
Start over.
This is the order in which they'll
Be
be
on
on
the flyer.
Right,
the
the
flyer.
order you want them on the, so what did you say was third?
First
I have
question
5
is-
and then 20 and 30, number 2.
5, okay, and then third is 6,
6,
4 is 15,
15,
Hold on, 4 is 15, okay.
5 is 13, 1,
1, 13, okay,
6 is going to be 12,
12, okay,
7 will be, oh man, this is when it gets hairy. Okay, wait a minute. Oh, I guess number 2, and then 10, and then 11.
What about 25?
Oh, 25 would be last, because that was ranked lowest.
Okay, 10.
Sorry.
okay, so I have number 5 would be the first 20, combined 20, 30 question quality, I'm sorry, 6, 15, 1/13, 12, 2, 10, 11, 25.
I like it.
Yep.
All right, good job. Any final questions on this? We're good? All right, great. All right, this handout is additional comments that was off the final page of the survey. We extracted them word for word as they were written and put in here for your leisurely reading, if you want to go through the comments and highlight anything in there. I mean, we're not going to go through them this evening, that's why I say leisurely.
Yes.
Take your time and go through them, but there's a lot of good information in there, obviously.
I would
But-
like the opportunity to be able to read this before all the comments, before we make that final decision, which is tomorrow it'll be created.
Tomorrow's the timeline for doing the
These were
flyer.
all in the email, so if you, all the comments were in there, so there's nothing new in here.
There's nothing new?
No, this is
Oh,
this is what
okay.
was sent to us
This
by.
is what was sent to
Okay,
us
all
already.
right,
Yes.
all right, it's nothing new.
No.
All right, I thought maybe
Print
there
it
was
out.
something new.
Yeah, on the 25th, we have a timeline to print the flyer.
Okay.
What color are we on? Okay, so any other questions on this document? We provided it in the 4 languages of the respondents. This document, I'll go over this one real quick. This is, again, the application that would be online. I've filled this out a few times in the categories that you see in there. And of course, you have to cut and paste like recommendations and resumes and cover letters and all that in there as well. But this is the general information questions that you're asked online.
Okay.
Okay,
We've seen
next,
this before.
next to last is the flyer itself. We've done a quick update with some additional information on it. So please take an opportunity to go through that. If you want to change anything, make any recommendations.
Can I ask a question about the flyer?
Yes, sir.
It says that our students are made up of 1% homeless. Is it 1% or less than 1%?
I'll have to go back and find out. I think this was a conversation between Molly and somebody in the district to get that data.
It would have been on our school report card.
Yes, it's 1%.
I actually had Angelique update the data as of present day for this year. So it's not referencing the school report card, because what's posted right now is 17-18 data. So I wanted to make sure we had the most current. So we did receive that 2 days ago for this year,
So,
19-20.
so to answer Mr. Hodges' question, it's less than 1%.
What was provided to me was 1%.
So
I
round it up.
What is the
That's what I'm
number?
curious.
What
Do
is
you
the
have a
number?
number? Do you have a number?
I do not. She just gave me the percentages, so I can confirm that with her.
What's that?
No, no, but is that
And
the
that
number?
seems like a lot.
That
doesn't
seems
it?
like a lot. That's why I asked the question.
I could get
But
this.
honestly, for a district our size, it's really low.
Do we have that, though? Is that the right number? Do you think we have about 50?
If that's 1%,
I'm just,
but I know, you're
it's
asking
not.
for the exact number?
No, it's not a huge, important thing, but I was just curious, because if we have to report it at the single digit, then it makes sense for it to be 1%. But if it's actually, the number's lower than that, and on average, it's lower than that.
We
But
could
the-
put the less than symbol.
Less than.
But the-
That's all I'm
But the
saying.
Yeah,
definition
that's all
of
you're saying.
homeless does
That's it.
not mean necessarily living on the street. If I'm living with
Right.
Sandy because I can't afford a home, I'm still considered homeless.
I understand, yeah. I just,
didn't think our number was 50.
yeah.
And I could get the direct number and get back to you tomorrow. Dr. Snyder is the homeless liaison. But if you see years past, like 2014, because it was less than 1%, Mr. Hodge, we were able to report it as zero.
Zero.
So it has gone up in the last few years.
Okay.
So if you see 2018 was 1%,
Okay.
so it is still 1%. But if you wanted a specific number, I can get that to you.
And not to be also nitpicky, but American Indian or Alaska Native, it should be 0.03. 0.03 as opposed to 0.03.
Right. 40.
Should we also have them in
Or
the order of
zero.
biggest to smallest instead of like random, like it goes 71 to 5 to 14 to 4?
It's not even alphabetic.
Yeah.
Yeah,
In
we
some
probably-
sort of order?
that's a good idea.
Like
Yep.
numerical
Cleaner,
or
yeah.
alphabetical?
Numerical makes sense.
Put them in numerical order. Rick?
Talking about the ethnic distribution?
Yes.
Okay.
It's no Italian. Where's the Italian?
Well, then it would be the same with the employees, right?
No, not
You
necessarily.
don't want 97% teacher retention
No,
first?
because the 451 isn't a percentage.
I mean, percentage-wise.
No, because they're two different topics. You know what I'm saying? One's retention,
The
one's.
employees, like,
Yeah.
what, it looks stronger to lead with 97% teacher retention.
I like leading with the retention, Dave, I'm with you.
Right, I mean, if they're
Yeah.
skimming, we have great teacher retention, so I'd move that up.
So 451 teachers, 97% teacher retention.
Yes.
81% with master's
I don't
degree
think
or
it matters,
higher.
but that's all right.
Yeah, but it's
That's all right.
leading with your strength.
Yeah.
So you want teacher retention as the higher percentage right underneath teachers?
Yes.
Okay.
Anyone have any issues with any of the verbiage on the second page? What?
Support staff numbers.
Oh,
That's a great
support staff
idea.
number,
Great idea.
yes, good idea.
I'm sorry, what?
Support
Support
staff
staff.
numbers.
Support staff? Where are you,
Under our employees on the front page.
percentage of support staff?
How about school,
Well,
The number.
number of support,
Number of support
the
staff.
actual number.
how about number of school buildings? I mean, that seems like I'd want to know that.
Yeah, that's
Do you
important.
want administration on there as well, if you're putting the different categories of people?
Yeah,
I think it should, yeah, the number of buildings is kind of important.
yeah, it should be, add up to be the total number of employees in the district.
Not just teachers, but teachers, admin.
Administration,
Where's the
at-will,
buildings gonna go?
support
'Cause that's
staff.
not gonna go to
So you
students
see
or
that
staff.
you have a district of 700 employees.
Mm-hmm.
Is that our number roughly?
Nobody's going to turn it down because there's 10 buildings.
706, according to Suzanne's whiteboard. I looked at it today.
706
Yeah,
total?
a good way to approach that is your total number of employees, then your certified staff, teachers, and then from that, you can discern that the difference is sports staff.
This is
I think you should put the number of
Almost 5,000
administrators,
students.
don't you?
We're saying on the front page.
It's over 5,000.
I'm just asking. Do you think
I've
we
never
should put
seen
the
that on a
Number
flyer.
of administrators?
You don't want, you're saying.
Well,
no?
number of buildings for
I
sure.
think number of buildings would be.
Number of buildings is fine, but not number of administrators.
203 support staff if you're looking for that for the flyer.
And then on the second page, it says that today the district educates over 5,000 students.
That's almost current.
Almost.
I'm sorry, sir, what line are you on and what side?
It's on the second page, under the history of District 135. Today,
Oh,
the
yes,
district
over.
educates over 5,000 students.
5,000.
Okay.
Well, it is. I think it is.
Thank you, Mr. Hodge.
They don't use laptops anymore either, do
I
they?
don't want that to get lost.
They
I was
have
gonna
their
say,
own
but-
individual iPad, there are laptops in the classroom, but I would promote more the
I'd say students
iPad.
use iPads daily, get rid of
There
laptops.
are fewer laptops.
There are, I mean, the eighth graders now all have iPads.
Correct. Each school has a cart for.
Yeah, but
But
yeah.
that's not.
Except they depreciate it.
I think one of the topics of discussion was how to capture requirements candidates must have or be qualified to obtain for superintendent, basically your superintendent endorsement for Illinois.
Say a PhD or ED was required.
That ranked low.
Huh?
That ranked low. Teaching, yes, but advanced degree.
I'm good with this.
So everybody's fine with the flyer with the proposed changes?
Yes.
Susanna, are you going to work with Molly on this, or do you want me to send her the information? For the flyer, the final flyer?
Based on the recommendations.
Yeah, I mean, are you going to talk to Molly so we can make those adjustments, or do you want me to do
I
that?
haven't been recorded what was.
Okay, I have it recorded, but I just wanted to get the courtesy, because it might change for some reason between now and I'm not here in the district, so. All right, I'll tell her the changes. Okay, so that's the flyer. Good work. The last thing is just a quick review of the timelines.
All right.
What color is that one?
That is this one right here.
So we have two timelines here to look at. Suzanne and I met and talked to Ryan Ray yesterday. Time is just merging together. And
The yellow-
looking at the approved timeline that we have approved, the 60-day recruitment, the green one. If you look at when we have to do meetings and interviews, it's the week before Christmas and the week before Christmas. The meeting on the 4th of December is a 4-hour meeting. We need 4 hours of everyone's time when we do that meeting.
Can we do it during the day?
Ma'am, have you determined how many candidates you want us to come and present? Was it 10, 12 usually?
12, right?
12, okay.
So the other option that we have is to push it up. Because if you look at this deadline, they're going to have 2 months to apply for this job. When we talked to Ryan, he feels like 30 to 35, 40 days is sufficient to get everybody that we're going to get. So if we push it up, that's the yellow sheet. We then have our big meeting on the 11th of November, which is a regular board meeting scheduled for that day. We could, if everyone can commit to being here at 3 o'clock, if that's possible.
November 11th, is that a school holiday?
No, they don't have Veterans Day off. And then we have our meeting prior to the board meeting. And my recommendation is we do not have a cow on that day. We just do report outs from the committees in our regular meeting, so we don't even have to hold a cow on that day. And
How many days will that give us for the search? 45?
40, 37, how much, I don't know the specifics, if you do the math. Deadline would be October 29th. Now, the concern that Ryan had with us pushing it up had nothing to do with how much time this is available for people to apply. It has to do with having the gap. The week of the 18th, we will then interview our top candidates for the 4 or 5 or 5 or 6 that we want to bring in person. And then we wouldn't meet with our the last finalists, like the 2 or 3 finalists, until after Thanksgiving, the week of the 2nd, December 2nd. His concern is having that Thanksgiving week off, we'll lose candidates if they have another job offer.
That's a very good point.
So that's.
This is a very
that's-
competitive timeline, period.
Oh, then just for that reason alone, it should be.
We should move it up,
Yes.
that's what I'm thinking. Because if that's the case, then having us sitting around for 60 days doesn't really make any sense, so that sort of feeds.
Because it sounds like Reagan
that.
Associates is saying that between 40 and 60 days, you're not getting much more, if any, additional candidates, correct?
Yeah, I mean, I think 30 to 45 days is window sufficient. And in Ryan's point, as well as your board chair, the more you stretch out the timeline, the more candidates are already accepting jobs somewhere
Right.
else.
Yeah, we don't want that to be the case.
So then, we need to commit to being able to make these dates.
On the
So
11th,
The 11th,
and then
then the
18th,
18th,
and the 2nd.
everybody get their calendars out, and then the 2nd.
So if I could,
Yes.
let's go down, 11/25/2019 is the deadline on now for all application material. What do we want to change that date to 29th?
We have a new schedule.
Oh, you have a
worked
new
up
one?
For us,
Okay.
yes. So that's already
So
worked out.
you're coming right off of that, we're good.
Yes,
So it's already been adjusted.
Makes it easier for your husband.
if we decide to go ahead with that.
Yeah, then I don't have to capture any
What
notes.
are the two dates you need, Laura?
Okay, the 11th is a regular board meeting, but we'd have to start, either we
Veterans Day.
go till midnight, or we start at like 3 o'clock.
Skip cow.
So,
Yeah, or
and-
start
And
at
not have a
3.
cow. 3,
Go to
4,
Skip cow.
5, 6, 7, that's 4 hours. We skip the cow,
On what day?
the 11th of November.
Works
And
for
ma'am,
me.
did you say you had something else going on that day?
We have a board meeting, a regularly scheduled board meeting at 7, so I'm saying if we could meet at 3, work through, we'll have dinner provided, of course, whatever, and then have our board meeting,
Sure, the 11th is fine with me, 3 PM.
3 o'clock.
I think it's good that the board meeting's after it.
Yeah. It's a dead, we have a
This
deadline.
is a exhausting process.
How long do you see this going until?
It'll be from 3 to 7 to the board meeting.
Because we have a board meeting at 7.
That work out for you?
Skip cow.
That's my anniversary, but, my husband come, we can switch it back.
No, the law,
Mike, is that okay with you?
sure.
November 11th, 3 to 7, then the board meeting
Board
from
meeting.
7 or whatever.
7?
I'm fine with the 11th, but the 18th, the
All
whole
right.
week I'm gone.
You're gone the week of the.
Did you want to consider a break between this and the board meeting? A 30-minute break or something?
Start at 2:30?
I mean, 4 hours is based off of your
Their rec-
recommendation, right?
Yeah, that's based off of their experience.
Based upon how long it takes to present 12 candidates.
I mean, you can always go into close after.
If we have to.
After the
you know,
board
you
meeting.
Postpone your, if you get to 7 and you're not complete, you can start the regular board meeting and then go into close to finish. If
Oh,
you
that's a
haven't
good
done
point.
that already.
I mean, we're going to have to open the meeting in open anyways, and then go into closed, so. All right,
So 2:30 or 3?
2:30.
30.
Are you working, Devin? Can I ask that question? Could you call in?
You mean the week of the 18th? I'm going to be in the UK.
Oh, ew, never mind.
So?
I know, what does that mean?
That means I don't want to get up at 4 in the morning or 3 in the morning.
Or
or
stay up.
whatever.
You'd actually be, yeah, if we did it like at 5 o'clock, you'd be.
Well, that's, you're gonna run into that.
Right there, yeah.
You're so close to Thanksgiving, too, you're gonna run into that.
So do we have a final timeline agreement?
Friday.
We're looking at the,
When do you get back?
23rd.
Is the 11th okay?
when do you get back?
Right before
That one's
Thanksgiving.
good, it's just the 18th is.
23rd, so you leave like the
He's gonna be
weekend
at-
before or
yeah,
whatever.
15th
2:30.
through the 23rd.
And when do you leave?
Devin's gone that whole
15th
week.
through the 23rd.
When do you leave, though?
The
15th.
15th.
15th, okay. So could we do it after the 11th, but before the 15th?
Well, the question is, can we round the candidates up and get them here? I think that's the issue, because we will have them picked through the matrix at the meeting on the 11th, correct, Rick?
Yeah,
But
you've
it's okay to
decided
tell a
that
candidate
all the
that the-
candidates will be presented, and then you'll make your
Yeah.
decision for your
But are
top
they coming
5.
back
You can tell the
before that?
candidates that
No, they're not going
the
to be there
second
on the 11th.
interview
We have
is,
videos, and we have all
if they're
their
chosen,
written
right?
responses.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think that's a problem.
The 14th?
We choose the 11th through the videos.
Yes.
And then we're telling them to fly out, if
Yes.
applicable,
Yes.
in 2 days' notice. Is that reasonable?
But if we tell them ahead of time, they have to plan on that.
2 days between, what, the first round, the first presentation? Mm-hmm. Okay. And then you want to do the
14.
first round on which date?
14th.
11/14?
In your experience, is that too tight or not?
Because we're telling them the 12th, really.
Pardon me?
We're going to be telling them on the 12th.
Right.
But they will know coming in when they do their application that if you get picked, you have to be available on the 14th to interview.
I'm trying to recall, yeah, when I was through that, there were some searches where there was a very short window there, but we keep them, the candidates apprised that you made the top 10, you're being presented, and the first round of interviews are on this date, are you available, stuff like that.
Is that enough to do the 10?
How much time do we need for that?
I think we're just watching.
For-
videos or something.
The actual interviews of the top,
You have to decide that based upon the number of questions you choose, and what do you think is a good response time?
I don't
But it won't be less than an
Just
hour,
heard
right?
something
no, it won't be
about-
less than an hour.
No, it won't be less than an hour.
Okay,
Listening to
Four,
It's going to be like
probably.
an all-day thing,
Four?
4 or 5 people.
Okay, this 4-hour meeting, we're just talking with them and watching videos?
Yeah, the way it works is they present the
just-
candidates in alphabetical order, and they'll say, like, Mrs. Abbott, here's a little blurb about her, doctor, whatever, and then you watch a video, and then you get the bigger packet of her information, and you go through it, and we do have no discussion. So we all have our own opinions that we form, and then we do a forced matrix of all the candidates we see in that format to come up with our final set. And in their experience, there's been a definite break that, you know, the cream rises to the top of, you know, what we think of the candidates for the most part.
Okay, so I'm just saying,
No
4
live
hours.
people are there.
Will 4 hours be enough to do that, yes?
Can we talk about the second round?
Yes.
It says it's optional. What is that for?
That's if, their opinion is sometimes you get you interview 4 or 5 candidates, you know the one you want. Then you don't need another round of interviews. You don't have 2 or 3, you have the one you want. Or you have 2 or 3 that you bring back because you're not sure you have the one you want. So that's the second round.
Or is
So if
this,
you decide 5 for the first round, then you decide on 2, 3 for the second round, usually it's 3. And that's the length of your interview. From my experience.
do districts ever bring their top 2 candidates to the public?
There's various ways that the public can engage them. I think you and I had a conversation that in my application for my district in Florida, the evening of the interviews finished with a reception at a restaurant where the public was invited and could come and meet each of the candidates.
Right.
And have a conversation, get to know them and meet them. There's various ways you can do that, but I found that to be very enjoyable for me as a candidate. And kind of low threat, you know, I can just be myself and get to know people and walk around and they can come talk to me. That was a good way to get the public in to meet the candidates.
When we talked to Ryan about it, he was not thrilled about that.
That's up to you. Ryan and I had that conversation
It's our
today.
decision, it's not his.
It's your decision.
That's good. So how is feedback provided? So you have your top, let's just say 3, and you have a reception. How is public feedback given?
Well, I don't
to-
think that's the purpose of the session.
Okay.
You've already gotten most of your public feedback already through what we've done.
So it's-
It's more of a, you know, the candidates are going to be here, and if you want to meet them and talk to them,
It's like a meet and greet.
yeah.
Yeah.
But for 2 or 3, okay.
I don't know.
And Ryan and I had that discussion.
That could be
We
awkward, yeah.
philosophically disagreed on that.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, that could be awkward.
I didn't find it awkward.
Because you were
I
the
actually
chosen
enjoyed
candidate.
it.
They chose you,
They
right?
chose you.
They chose you.
Well, yeah.
Well, if they wouldn't have chosen you. how would
I don't know. I wouldn't have found it awkward that way either. I mean, you know, it's a good experience to get out there and talk to people from other communities, what's important to them in education, et cetera. I found it to be a good experience, whether I was picked or not.
Right, but more importantly, if the public likes one candidate and the board chooses another for various reasons, then are there hard feelings? So, candidate A really is able to project to the parents, to the community, but there are some other attributes of candidate B that the board feels is better.
That may not have been relayed through that meet and greet.
Right, exactly, because that's just a snapshot.
Well, you could probably make the same case that the feedback and the engagement forms and all that, and it's not factored in, somebody might not receive that very well, but.
Right, right.
If we come to a list of finalists, could we make their videos that they prepared available so the public could see them?
No, it's presented during that session that we meet for 4 hours. It's a 3-minute video where the candidates respond to 3 questions.
Look, we've gathered all of the stakeholders' feedback and algorithmically have come up with the
You're right.
best consensus possible to move forward. Respectfully, I think that you bring up a great point. I think Ray brings up a good point. I don't know if that's something that's going to impact our decision either way.
It probably won't. It's more about the opportunity for the public to meet the candidates. That's really what it comes down to, because we're not going to extract anything out of that that's going to factor into
No
that.
new information is what or new data.
No.
So we do a meet and greet with the person we hire.
Right.
Yeah.
That would be great.
Yeah, that would be good, yeah.
That makes a lot of sense.
Celebration and
That happens very often.
yeah.
Kind of here's our new superintendent, come meet him, that superintendent.
That, I think, is a necessity.
Yes, absolutely.
Especially in this.
Yes. Okay, so let's.
But
go
it's
back-
strictly your call if you do that.
Let's go back to the 14th.
The date.
The
Okay.
14th.
The 14th?
It's
I'm
probably,
okay with the 14th, so long, Madam President, so
Yes.
long as Ray and Associates believes that we're leaving at 9 o'clock at night or 10 o'clock at night on the 11th, which means that you're relaying the information on the 12th and asking somebody to fly out.
2 days later.
Right, as long as you think that's reasonable, I'm fine with it.
I don't see it as a problem. I mean, we've had short, condensed, abbreviated cycles on timelines all the time.
And like Mrs. Dodd said earlier, then you'll let them know in advance that the board will be making a decision by the 12th and they ask you to fly out.
Yeah, to address that concern, we would reach out to those 10 or 12 that we present and say, we're presenting you to the board,
And then let you know
and
by the
that
12th.
first round of interviews are on the 14th, so we need to know if you're available.
Perfect.
And so if you have a situation where some of the ones you want aren't, then you might have to make an adjustment.
Maybe then we cut
But
it.
if you're applying for superintendent jobs, you know it's a very fluid environment, and you're
Yes.
going to have some short-time timelines.
Yeah, because he's.
What time on the
So we
14th?
Yeah, and move it
if
to the
it's 5
14th.
to 6 candidates, at least
That's
an
what I
hour
meant. We
per
would cut it.
candidate.
It's 11, 11,
And with a
11.
break, some breaks
14
in
and
between.
12
We're
to-
talking about
Maybe
a
get off?
6 or 7 hour day,
Get off work?
right? Right?
Yes.
Yeah, it's going to be exhausting.
Well, we've got to start early.
Yeah, I say we start at 9 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
So are people available that whole day?
We have to be.
The 11th?
No,
14th.
the
Both,
14th.
actually.
I'm available.
Yeah, I can
Yes,
make that
yes,
happen.
Sandy.
Sorry.
Devin will be packing.
Yeah.
Are you going to be
Devin-
packed?
Devin's packing.
Sure,
Are you available, Devin?
Yeah.
Yes.
I can make
Sarah?
myself.
Yes, Mike? Dave, you said yes?
Sure, yeah.
All right,
So we're going to start around 9 or
9,
10
let's 9 o'clock.
On the 14th.
Yeah.
And what are we calling this? This is what?
Just everything in my OSD meeting,
First
number
round of
1, 2 through.
actual physical interviews.
So I have not been informed of the decisions and conversations with Ryan and the board. So tickets will be purchased through the district?
Yes? Okay.
So airline tickets purchased through the district. Are you accommodating like an overnight stay at the airport or something as part of that?
We're going to have
Stay
to.
at my house.
Yeah.
Typically, it is done that
Quarter
way.
out here.
And then Uber back and forth, so,
Out here makes sense.
I would say
I
out
would say out here because.
Out here makes
We have
sense.
plenty of hotels.
well, I'm just throwing it out. I'm not saying where they have to
No,
stay.
it's too-
I'll
But
just
it's,
pick 'em up at the
it's not bad to have a designated hotel where you get a good rate. I did that in Minneapolis, where we put up candidates
It's
for
just
senior level
The commute
positions.
back and forth,
It could be horrible.
it could be horrible.
Well, that's here and there. I'm just saying that, you know, I just threw that out. It could be a hotel out here, I mean.
Yeah,
Some people may be local.
that's right, yes.
Okay, so that starts at 9
Okay,
o'clock in the
yes.
morning.
Then we have the
The 2nd of
the
December?
week of the 2nd, we're interviewing the final candidates.
So it's not necessarily the second.
Not necessarily the 2nd.
Well,
And those are, you know, deeper, more intense, final 2 or 3 candidates.
bless you.
How long do those usually take?
We don't know that, right?
If you get to that point, how long?
You're going to do your second round of interviews with the top 3 candidates. I would allocate at least 90 minutes an interview.
Okay.
I would assume we have final interviews.
And then you're going to have to program in your follow-on discussion and selection.
Right.
90 minutes, he said, each, so.
So, are we doing it on the 2nd? Are
We
we,
don't have to do it, how does that week look for everybody?
Now I gotta get my phone.
well, right now it looks okay.
I mean, once again, it's probably going to be at least an afternoon.
The Monday.
Monday?
December 2nd's a Monday.
Yeah, it is.
Monday.
Do we want to do it that Monday?
We don't have
or-
to do it Monday, but if Monday works, we can.
Sure.
And what time?
How long?
Probably 4 hours,
90 minutes
Nine-
times 3, plus,
5 or.
Well, you're going to want to have.
6 hours.
You're going to want to have at least about a 60 to 90-minute interview.
Per.
These are the more intense interviews,
9
per
o'clock
se. And then you're going to need some time in between.
Between.
To read.
Yes,
to-
yes.
Yes.
9 o'clock
So
again?
9 o'clock again?
Is that on the second?
On the
I wish
second?
I was retired.
Second, okay with everyone, I hadn't,
So let me get this straight. 11:11 is where we'll come back, present the candidates. 11:14 will be the first round of interviews. And 12:02 will be the final round of interviews.
that was 12:02, okay. Devin?
We can do that together? All this?
Yes, this is all closed, this is hiring
Oh, it's all
superintendent.
closed, good, yeah.
We have to open and open, right?
Open and open, close and close.
Start the meeting, then go away.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, if we could start after noon or something, that would be good. So I don't have to take the entire day.
Yeah, you're the one taking
Yeah,
the days
yeah.
off.
So why don't we do that?
On the 2nd?
And
On the 2nd.
Start at 12?
Start at 12.
Well, wait, how long is this
You
going
don't
to
have
go?
to, you don't have to get
6 hours.
vacation cleared.
So I'm going to have to get childcare for every one of these days.
Every day's a vacation.
Or Devin's going to have to take off
Lynn will
work.
watch.
Dave does take off work, too.
Yes, we all do, I work, yeah.
Well, Mr. Merite alluded to the fact that I don't really work, so.
Well, no, I never did. Well, yeah, no,
It's
yeah.
a big day, big times for me. I think that Devin's request in the afternoon makes more sense.
For the final, 12 o'clock on the 2nd.
That's good.
Because then
Yeah.
it's a half.
12, 12:30, something like that.
Okay, 12:30?
Yeah.
Well, that's true, we don't know, so. Okay, December 2nd, 12:30.
Right, it could be 2 people and it's 3
Right,
hours.
then it's not as
Okay, well, I
bad.
will not guarantee that I'm going to be there.
And you'll be doing the interviews in here?
Not necessarily, you're going to have to find out if the room is available.
Right.
This is used for PD.
Yeah, that would be the least of our issues.
Yeah, we have
finding a
rooms.
location.
Because we have the boardroom, the bigger room upstairs too, right? We could use.
I'd rather do it intimate.
It's been so long since we've had a meeting here, you forget about what we have.
Big.
Just give us a room with one light, one spotlight.
Yeah.
I got stool. spot.
Listen, when I did my interviews for my superintendency, they were 2 full days.
Really?
Yeah, I did. I ended up doing 6 different interviews.
How do you crack a West Point graduate, though? You don't, right?
Well, we can talk afterwards. It was a long 2 days.
Maybe you said the ending
6
time.
hours just to be safe.
So probably
Then
12
we-
to 4 or 5,
Yeah.
right?
You did say 12:30, right?
Yes, we said
Okay.
12:30.
Oh, 12:30, okay.
And we'll make sure that we get this out to everybody, a revised
The revised one, perfect.
schedule with
And there'll be
everything on it,
food.
with the specifics. And then
No icky stuff on the
we do have a final meeting with you guys.
Right after that, yes.
So is that on the same day?
It's generally the same
Right,
day.
so we'll
Butter and
just
jelly,
build
just
that in,
adding
and you
these
can,
stuff.
you can be here, or we could Skype it, right?
Interesting.
It says here.
Yeah, you always have that option.
Okay,
But I'm prepared to be here for anything that you need physical presence for.
all right,
Okay, so we're going, okay, repeat of the dates again.
all right, so,
Yeah, 11,
the 11th,
2:30.
2:30. The 14th at 9 a.m.
It's 4 hours, Mike, the
12.
first one,
First
okay?
one's 4 hours, and then we have a board meeting right
I
after.
got that in, I just.
Board meeting's at 7.
Then we change it to 12:30?
And then the 14th is 9, no,
9
the
a.m.
14th is 9 a.m.
Basically the whole day.
And the second is 2:30,
And the
12:30.
second is 12:30.
So,
Okay. 9 a.m. 12, I changed the wrong one. Yep, okay.
okay.
Hope nobody steals my phone.
Okay.
And
Are there any final questions?
Anything else?
Anything else?
No?
Well, then, on my end, we've concluded.
Thank you very much.
Great job, you did well.
Thank you.
A little over an hour.
Need a motion to adjourn.
I move that the Board of Education adjourn the September 24th, 2019 special board meeting.
Second?
Jill, you want to call the roll?
Dr. Berry?
Aye.
Mr. Hodge?
Aye.
Ms. Gulak?
Aye.
Mr. Merite?
Aye.
Ms. Beckman-Dot?
Aye.
Ms. Schreiber? Aye. Mr. Shelby?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Merite, may I take a